The battle over who will lead evidence in President Cyril Ramaphosa's impeachment inquiry has become a story almost as controversial as the Phala scandal itself. At its center is advocate Thandazani Madonsela, a senior counsel with a complicated history involving Ramaphosa, the ANC, and the Judicial Service Commission. Ramaphosa once appointed Madonsela to the JSC only to remove him later after a bruising and highly political round of judicial interviews. Now the EFF has nominated Madonsela to lead the evidence against Ramaphosa with Julius Malema, who worked alongside Madonsela on the JSC, sitting on the very committee making that decision. Then comes the issue that Madonsela had recently advised the ANC on Section 89 and impeachment matters. What is even more remarkable is that the ANC, the party of the president whose political future is at stake, abstained rather than nominating its own candidate or voting against Madonsela. This is a bizarre position from a party that stands to lose so much should the process go against Ramaphosa. Hello everyone, welcome back to Joe Talks Politics. I am your host, Joseph Mosia. Let's get right into this. Before we get into the merits of our discussion for today, I would like to first explain what the impeachment process is. Impeachment in South Africa is essentially Parliament's constitutional process for deciding whether a sitting president should be removed from office for serious misconduct or for violating the Constitution or the law. The Section 89 process is the investigation stage. Parliament examines the evidence and decides whether there are grounds to proceed with impeachment. If it gets to an actual impeachment vote, the president can only be removed if 2/3 of the National Assembly votes for his removal. So what does Ramaphosa stand to lose? Quite simply, the presidency, and with it the executive authority of the head of state and government. Politically, the consequences would be enormous. It could destroy his authority within the ANC and profoundly damage his political legacy. And that is precisely why the question of who leads the evidence and whether that person can genuinely be regarded as independent becomes so politically and legally important. Thandazani Madonsela is a senior advocate who became a member of the Judicial Service Commission after being appointed by President Cyril Ramaphosa in 2020. He was therefore, in a sense, Ramaphosa's own representative on the JSC. But that relationship deteriorated during the extraordinary 2022 Chief Justice interviews. Madonsela was particularly confrontational in his questioning of Judge President Dustin Mlambo, including questioning his commitment to the Constitution and his apartheid-era record.
The South African Constitution is a product of a struggle against apartheid by in particular, black people in this country and other conscientious white people in this country who sacrificed a lot in order to produce a constitution that we have today, or the liberation that South Africa has found itself in today. Did you have any participation in that struggle for the liberation of South Africa in the yesteryears?
No.
Sorry?
No.
No?
No. I mean, I regard my contribution is as a public interest and a trade union lawyer, because I was representing that sector. of society, and that's practice that started pre-constitutionally.
So how can you preside and be a vanguard of a constitution you never fought for? How can you preside over and be a vanguard of a constitution that you never fought for?
I don't see that as a disqualification, Commissioner Madonsela. I mean, the Constitution is a product of blood, sweat, and tears. That is correct. I'm a beneficiary of that process, and I want to believe that I have contributed in my way to ensuring that I bring some relief to vulnerable sectors of South African society.
Not only that, Madonsela seemed to advance the narrative that Mlambo favored Ramaphosa while he was hostile to former President Jacob Zuma.
It seems to me that, and also this has been a complaint, that cases involving the previous administration whilst in the past would be taken to the Cape Provincial Division, because that's where Parliament, or in cases against Parliament, that's where Parliament is. There has been a growing tendency that those cases get litigated in your court. I mean, I'm talking about your court, sorry, it's the Gauteng High Court. And the perception now there is that it is your court under your leadership and how you allocate judges, which ensures that there is always adverse judgments against the previous judgment in your court. And that's why people prefer it. And I raise this at the level that the undercurrents of the complaint, as I said earlier, is that people see you and your court as a court that is favorable to the establishment, and they'll always find against the previous administration. What have you got to say to that?
It's unfortunate that there is this undercurrent. I'm aware of it. It's very unfortunate because factually it is also incorrect. Now, you don't mention which cases in the Western Cape Division, but I'm aware of some which went.
I can, it's just that I don't have the time.
That's fine, but I'm just saying I'm aware of some that went against the previous administration. I'm aware, in the Western Cape Division. So that generalization is unfortunate and unfair.
Shortly after this, Ramaphosa removed Madonsela as his representative at the JSC. The president has never publicly given a detailed explanation for the removal, but he now argues that the history creates a reasonable possibility that Madonsela could harbor a grievance against him. Then there's Madonsela's relationship with the ANC, which is arguably even more significant for the present controversy. In June and July this year, Madonsela was briefed by the ANC lawyers on legal questions concerning the Section 89 impeachment process and reportedly co-authored a legal opinion for the ANC's parliamentary caucus. The ANC subsequently abstained when his appointment as evidence leader was put to a vote. So you have a lawyer who has previously been appointed by Ramaphosa, removed by Ramaphosa, and then recently acted for the ANC on the very impeachment process in which he is now expected to lead evidence. That doesn't automatically prove that Madonsela is biased or disqualified. But it explains why Ramaphosa is arguing that his appointment raises a serious question of both actual and perceived conflict of interest. Understandably, opposition parties would love an evidence leader who has an axe to grind with Ramaphosa. Anything that brings the ANC down is likely to be to their benefit.
He's not going to choose his own judge. That's what he's doing. He's not going to choose his own judge. He wants to choose his own judge, and it's not going to happen. And all of you have come together and agreed that The appointment of an evidence leader is a sole responsibility of the committee. And the committee has decided. I don't even understand why do you say we must wait for an opinion? What opinion for what?
Chairperson, you presided over a process where a democratic vote was taken. All of us were there, and we all participated, and we came up with a decision. We cannot now, at this late hour, be told by a person that must come before this committee that they don't like the option that we have chosen as a committee. It is very concerning that this matter comes from a political party objecting to a process which was agreed to by this committee. So it suggests that this committee is being managed from without. Chairperson, I do want you to be firm and to reinstate the decision which was democratically taken and remind members that we are all here and we all participated. Those who don't like the outcome, they can't come as an afterthought to say that we must change a decision that was taken democratically. What will be the basis for that, Chairperson? What is the basis for asking a democratic process to be changed, which all of us participated in? This makes a mockery of this very important process. It means that President Ramaphosa is literally managing a process which must hold him accountable.
So for him now to have some issue with Advocate Madonsela on the grounds that he removed him from the JSC, it's something that should be viewed for what it is. It is a delaying tactic. Each and every South African should know that the president has got a say in the appointment of judges and other senior counsels in the country. And others act for him and others act against him.
What is even more difficult to comprehend is the ANC's timidity. The impeachment of a president is a high-stakes political move. The opposition may not have the actual numbers to remove Ramaphosa, but having him appear before a parliamentary committee to face hostile questions is already a major political blow. Add to that an evidence leader who appears clearly conflicted, and you have a potentially explosive political situation. One in which the ANC should be fighting vigorously to protect the credibility of the process and the standing of its president. This brings me to the question: who decided ANC members should abstain instead of opposing Madonsela's name? Why did the party not nominate its own candidate? Perhaps even more crucially, was Ramaphosa part of this decision? Either way, it appears the ANC has scored an own goal here and will either have to use other mechanisms to reverse the situation, or Ramaphosa will be left alone fighting for his political survival. You can be part of this discussion by posting your views in the comment section and liking the video. And please, please, please don't forget to subscribe. That's all for this episode of Joe Talks Politics. From me, Joseph Mosia. See you in the next one.